what's going on, everyone? It's going to be episode one of my Ultmeche podcast here. So, we're going to be talking about job hunting. We're going to be talking about news. We're going to be talking about new engineering product releases. We're going to be talking about best diet framework, fitness, just general health stuff, too. So, a lot of stuff to cover. This is going to be episode one to kick it all off. I'm going to use this podcast kind of just to talk about kind of whatever, what happened in my day, what best job hunting practices are, best health guideline, best frameworks, what I like to do to help me, keep sharp, be a high performer, and just ultimately give me energy and hopefully give you guys some helpful information and you can use that to implement that in your life. So, all right, just gonna get right into it. So, a little bit about me before we begin. So, my name is Kazu. I currently work in the engineering industry. I have about 7 years of engineering experience. So, what got me into engineering was growing up, I always really liked math and science, and I always wanted to be able to utilize that in my day-to-day career. So, using that to be able to effectively solve problems in the industry, solve customer problems, and basically just stimulate myself that way. It's really rewarding to take on a engineering problem head on and just use your specific problem solving fundamental mindset and to be able to tackle that and solve problems. It's a really satisfying feeling, very stimulating, and it's what I really look forward to in my day to day in my career as an engineer. And a lot of that even goes outside of engineering too. A couple of hobbies of mine that include that same type of problem solving mindset is Brazilian jiu-jitsu and rock climbing even. So Brazilian jiu-jitsu is basically like a martial art, but it's also very chess-like. You can definitely read about that, but it's very positional. You have like, one arm here, one arm there, or you understand how a guy plays his game, and then you have to, think of strategies, think of moves to counter, and you have to react to how the other guy is going to react. And yeah, it's a lot of it's really chess like because if you know what the guy's going to do, you have counters, you have attacks, you have the best defense. It's very, very stimulating to do. So, and with regards to rock climbing, it's like the same thing. You're rock climbing at an indoor gym and you have your hands and feet on a certain position. And in that certain position, you have like various ways to move. And, it's like you play around with your body, play with the weight distribution, play with, grip strength, play with, body positioning, play with foot positioning. It's a lot about figuring out what it takes to be able to get to the next level, or is basically like, puzzle solving. So, that's kind of what stimulates me as an engineer. It's what I really enjoy. So yeah, I studied. Yeah, in high, I realized that I wanted to go into engineering in high school. Uh, right around junior senior year, I started taking courses like physics and calculus. And I'm like, hey, this stuff's really cool, and I want to be able to do and implement this stuff in my day-to-day career. So that's what led me to engineering, and here I am 7 years later. So I did get an internship at college at a pump company where we designed vertical turbine pumps for industries like oil and gas, municipalities, power, uh, basically any type of application that involved fluid movement. So like I was talking about earlier, definitely a lot of use of math and science. It's kind of fun to just geek out on like Excel spreadsheets and creating little programs that you can use to plug in inputs and outputs and use that to basically solve problems. And you're presenting that to customers, you're presenting that to other engineers. It's like, hey, I did all this, I problem solved my way through this, and it's been a fun ride. So that's kind of how I got started in engineering in terms of the industry. Where I interned, I ended up eventually getting hired on as a full-time product design engineer, where I was doing more so design work. As an intern, I was kind of doing the grunt work of everything, if you will. So I started off in applications and then transitioned into the production side of things and then into R&D. So back when I got hired on full time, I got hired on full time in the production organization. So I was doing a lot of vertical pump components for bowl assembly. Bowl assembly is basically like the portion of the pump that consists of like casings, impellers, shafts, bearings, and all that good stuff. So it's what really drives the energy, drives the movement into the fluid, and allows for a lot of the fluid extraction once you hook up the rotor to a motor. So I did that for a total of about like 4 years or so. And then in that 4 years, I learned a lot, made a lot of mistakes, produced a lot of drawings, produced a lot of engineering work. And I eventually wanted to transition out of that industry as I got my PE and go into something different. So I saw there was an opportunity for me to go into aerospace. This was back in 2020, 2019-ish. So the job market definitely back then, overall sentiment was a lot more positive compared to now. Now in 2023, given inflation that we've seen a lot of inflation as a function of potential quantitative easing that happened as a result of the coronavirus pandemic that we've all experienced. And so after that, we undergoing inflation, and then the Federal Reserve's response to that was to basically increase interest rates. So we went from like zero to like what is it now? I don't even have the exact number. The range is probably like 3.75 to 4.75 or 4.25, somewhere in that ballpark. I'm not really sure, but that's basically where we stand in terms of interest rates. And the job market has seen a huge hit. So we've seen like companies all over the place, like Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, Google, other companies. Let me see, Shopify, Square, Cisco, Snap, Boeing, even. A lot of companies are seeing layoffs, and it's very, very, very unfortunate, but that's the circumstance that we're in. And so overall, the sentiment regarding the job market is very, very negative. And it's not really good for, especially those that are new grads right now with absolutely zero experience and don't really have much to offer for the company. So it's definitely more so an employer's market as opposed to an employee market, which is a huge shift from the recent great resignation that we were seeing, about like 2 years ago, during the coronavirus pandemic era as well. A lot of companies were hiring, and I remember, just overall sentiment, very, very positive. And that kind of, leads me back to overall my transition into the aerospace industry was they were doing a lot of hiring. Aerospace and defense sectors were definitely bullish on a lot of work, seeing a lot of potential government contracts. And nowadays, given specific geopolitical tensions like Russia, Ukraine, or China, Taiwan, I feel like the United States needs to focus more on defense now more than ever. So very important to be able to for the US to be able to spend money and allocate the resource on defense and innovation and make sure that engineering is top notch, because at the rate that a country like China is growing, I mean, we may be scared, but I don't know. We'll see. It's a lot going on. So that there was a big hiring boom in like 2019, 2020-ish, which led me to transition over into the aerospace industry. So I've been in the aerospace industry ever since. I started off as a manufacturing engineer. So what I did a lot of was creating a lot of flight work orders, work processes to build like flight assemblies, sub-assemblies for specific military aircraft weapon system components. Mostly working on electromechanical systems. So did a lot of build packages. So did a lot of creating the instructions, creating the process workflow as to how to build certain released engineering. So that was about a year's worth of work there, and then a year or a year and a half, something like that. And then I slowly transitioned into the test engineering organization, where I started testing those specific weapon system components, if you will. So those components are basically going to go into several types of aircraft, and those components need to be qualified. So it's important that we test those to whatever loads that the structural team wants to make sure that those components can handle. So a lot of good stuff there test wise. So, and then So this kind of leads me to how I started Ultmeche, where I review resumes, write resumes, do a lot of interviewing stuff. So that happened at about 2020. It's like, hey, I have a lot of free time. We were all locked down, and how can I start? So I just started doing resumes, and I customer acquisition overall was a pretty slow process, but as I started writing resumes and clients started liking my work, it's like, hey, I was getting more and more orders. The momentum started picking up, and really we grew, although we're still pretty small, we grew a significant amount. I've been able, at this point, I've reviewed over 100 resumes, written over 100 resumes, helped hundreds of my clients get jobs at high paying companies like Amazon, Blue Origin, Tesla, like a lot of tech companies. So it's been really, really cool to see that progression. So yeah, and I do want to take a time to basically plug in my services. So like I said, resume reviews, cover letters, mock interviews, resume rewrites. Check the link in the description below. Uh, Overall, the framework I use is very simple, very keyword optimized based on quantitative results and accomplishments, metrics, skill sets, and that'll basically get you through the initial applicant tracking system for those positions, especially at larger companies like Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, Tesla, because those companies are all going to be utilizing that type of tracking software. So make sure you check out the link in the description below. So that's pretty much my spiel for today. So yeah, overall a lot of cool stuff. My services are mostly engineering framework oriented, but I have done resumes for those that are in other industries too, like accounting, finance, healthcare, and been pretty successful with other clients in other industries, and they've all been pretty happy with my work. So I do have client testimonials if you want to check that out. Again, go to my website, link in the description below, and you'll see in the bottom, you can get to read all of my testimonials. And that's about it for today's episode. So we kind of covered a little bit about me in terms of engineering and a little bit about me as a resume writer. I know this is like my first episode and I'm kind of doing this unscripted, so it's a little all over the place. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. Make sure you give the video a like, leave a comment, let me know what your thoughts are, let me know what you would like me to clarify more on, what you would like me to talk less on, how I can better prepare for next time. And I think I'm going to start doing this more. I'm already pretty active on social media. So if you haven't already, check out my TikTok, check out Twitter, check out Facebook, check out Instagram. I'm on all those platforms, starting to build a pretty huge presence on social media, so which is really cool. I present a lot of optimized and advanced job hunting strategies and frameworks that you can be using to get yourself a high-paying job. So make sure you check that out. Follow me on social media. I'll leave the links in the description below. And thank you for watching. I will talk to you guys next time. Bye.